Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me well. I hope you had a wonderful lunch, which I did not. I will eat something later. Before I get started, I would like to say thank you to everybody at George Labs for having me here today, especially to all the people behind the scenes, like literally behind the scenes, you can't see, for pulling off this wonderful conference. You're all amazing. Thank you. Yes, so that is me, Wolfgang, Head of Design at Elli, part of Volkswagen Group. And I'm curious to learn who of you here today is a designer. Please, show of hands. There's a lot of hands. Wonderful, perfect. So if we have so many designers, then today's talk is just perfect for you. Human-centered design leadership, right? And at its core is the human-centered design principle. And because we have so many designers here, we all know what human-centered design is about, right? Just in case, quick reminder, human-centered design is to make systems usable and useful by focusing on the users, their needs and requirements, by applying human factors / ergonomics, you gotta love slashes in these statements, and usability, knowledge and techniques. And fun fact, there's actually an ISO norm for that. I'm sure we're all aware of ISO norms and how wonderful they are to be implemented in companies. So next time somebody wants to implement an ISO norm in your company, maybe also challenge them to implement this one. That didn't get over well. That was better. Cool, thanks. User-centered design. Because we are all designers, we all know everything about user-centered design, right? You put the user right at the center. That's what we do, day in, day out. Right? And again, quick refresher, what is user-centered design about? Caring about the user and their needs in each and every phase of the design process. That's what we do. Because we're designers, we focus on the users. And by that, I mean not only in one area, but all the areas, right? UX design, visual design, motion design, sound design, writing, research, everything there is. We always focus on the user. And because we're designers, you also know everything about Jacob Nielsen's 10 usability heuristics for user interface design, right? We use them, apply them, day in, day out. Quick refresher again, here they are. My favorite actually being number 1 and 5, visibility of system status. Yes, please tell me what's going on when I'm using the application. And number 5, rather error prevention than nice phrased error messages. And because we're designers, we know everything about Dieter Rams' 10 principles for good design. And I'm sure we all apply them every day in, day out, with a focus on the user right at the center of everything we do. And, quick refresher again, 10 principles. My favorite here are 6 and 10. Good design is honest, and good design is as little design as possible. And because we're designers, we are following the user-centered design process, right? We go from the definition phase to the execution, initial insight, over the plan, and we ship. And we sail right through, or sometimes also not so straight, I guess. But that's what we do, right? Because we're designers and we take care of the user. And we do this sprint after sprint after sprint. Always the user at the center of everything we do. Because we want to ship products with great user experiences, of course. We think of the user and make sure that what we deliver has a good user experience. To avoid situations like this. For some reason, somebody decided to not put the ignition into the place where it usually is, not somewhere else. You know? So somebody had a chance here to meet an expectation, but, well, maybe for the next car. Which, by the way, is not a Volkswagen, just on the record. And of course, we as designers, we want to add business value, right? For that famous seat at the table. And we're doing this by not doing what Citibank unfortunately did last year. And I'm sure you're all aware of this, and I'm sure you're frequently using this in your internal pitch decks, right? Where Citibank last year unfortunately lost $500 million because a not so great user interface. Yeah, it doesn't look so great to me too. So what I'm saying is, as designers, we constantly focus on the users. The user is at the center of everything we do. The user receives all the attention. But now if that's the case, aren't we forgetting something? Like if we see the user on the one side of the coin, who is on the flip side? What about the designers? Like all of us doing the work day in, day out. Who's taking care of those people? I know what you're going to say. The manager, of course. Yes, the manager's doing it, right. But is it? I'm curious. Who of you is a manager? Not only design manager, but managing any people in any area. Oh, there's a few hands. Good. That's not as many as designers earlier. That's always a good start. Good. So, did you ever have a bad manager in your career? Yeah, show of hands. We're just among us, nobody will know. Ah, there is way too many hands than I would like to see here. So I ran a survey, and what better place to run a survey than on Twitter? And I asked people, did you ever have a bad manager? And what do you think? Do you think people did have bad managers, usually? Or are we all the exception here? Yeah, you probably guessed right. Most people, 91% in this case, at least once in their time, had a bad manager. Which is, honestly, to me, not very surprising, because I myself, unfortunately, had a lot of bad managers in my 20+ years. Early on in my career, I had a manager who claimed my idea as theirs in front of myself and their manager. That was a really weird and awkward situation. And I did not know how to react, so I just didn't say anything. Which was the wrong thing, like the wrong way of handling a situation like this. So just in case, if that ever happens to you, be prepared. I had another manager in my career who would audibly sigh and throw up his hands in the air when people would come up with ideas during brainstorming sessions. Like the one point in time, you should throw everything out, and build on top of each other's ideas and see what sticks. And I once had a remote manager telling me, nobody cares what you're doing over there anyways. Yeah, that seems funny now, but back then it was not so funny, honestly. But the big question is, how does these things, like these behaviors of managers, make us feel? Oh, I forgot one. The worst advice I ever got from one of my managers was, spend less time with your people. That was actually, I think, like the straw that broke the camel's back. To me, that was like, yeah, sorry, that's enough of this kind of advice. But how do these things make you feel? Like if you're in situations like this and you feel like not taken seriously maybe, or not being taken care of, or unheard, or unsupported. Well, I guess the bottom line to me usually is feeling demotivated, among other things. There's this nice claim which keeps making the rounds on LinkedIn. People leave managers, not companies, by Marcus Buckingham, which of course is a wonderful one-liner, perfectly to stick on a slide like here. And I would say it has quite some merit. It might, of course, always depends on the situation you're in. Unless your manager is the devil, him or herself, probably other things have to come together for you to change jobs. But the quote exists for a reason. The thing is, for me, only because I had bad managers doesn't mean I didn't learn anything from that, right? Because they taught me how not to do things. Very easy example, vacation requests. For me, I hate reminding my manager, can you please approve this request? It's just a button click, Such a small thing, but I have to ask and wait weeks and weeks, which of course only is like the tip of the iceberg. And I learned from good managers how to do things, how to praise people in public, how to give credit, make people feel good and valued and taken care of. Which brings me to a leadership principle. So basically from what I learned from the bad and the good, I derived the following. If I focus on the people, everything else will follow. So I should start with the people. And that's why my recommendation is the total opposite of the one my former manager told me. I highly suggest to spend time with your people. Seems obvious, actually. You need to listen and shut up when you're talking with your people. Imagine you have one-on-ones and somebody's sitting in front of you, your team member, and they're telling you how they're doing, what's going on. You need to pay attention to what they're saying. You should not at that moment already think about, oh, what am I going to say next? How can I potentially solve the problem? What am I going to reply? But it's much more important that you really listen in that moment to what they have to say and understand in what position they are in, how it makes them feel. After you have listened, you can make suggestions. It's important to understand people's goals and motivations. Why are they at the company? Why did they choose to apply at this company where they are now? Why are they here? What's their motivation? Where do they see themselves in a couple of years? What are their goals? Because only when you understand these kind of things, you can actually create opportunities for them. It's said very often, but it's complicated. You need to empower and trust people. And I would say, especially the trust part is difficult. So I was brought up, and I also learned professionally, that you have to build trust over time, right? You as a designer or a researcher, you get a little bit of a project, and you do well, and maybe next time you get a bigger project, and slowly you build trust. But then a couple of years ago, during my time at Nokia, there was a new VP starting. And they said the following during one of the town halls. I trust you. You do not need to earn my trust. And back in the day, I thought, that's such a wonderful quote you can just stick on a slide like here. But it took a while for me to understand what it actually means. Because it takes away the whole hassle, like this ladder climbing the beginning, to build trust. When you make the baseline, the trust is already there. You don't have to establish this. I trust you. Go ahead. Do a great job. It's important for the people to define the North Star. Where do we want to go? What is our overall aim and goal? And then let the people handle it. We have to get out of the way of the people. They are capable of doing their work. This wonderful quote from Dave Hahn, former Netflix senior engineer. We hire smart people and get out of the way. That's exactly the right thing to do. Why else would we hire smart people? To tell them what to do? What's the point? What is also very important for designers' environment or for people's environment is a good mix out of change and stability, which is actually a quote from Herding Tigers, the book by Todd Henry. And it's very, very important to have an environment where both are in balance. I'll give you 2 examples. I used to work in a company where there was super high challenge and super low stability. Like every day was chaos, pure chaos, every day priorities changed. And after a couple of months, you basically couldn't take it anymore. And then on the other side, I used to work in a company where there was super low challenge and very high stability, which led to people being bored of their minds. Just coming to work because they kind of have to come to work, but nothing challenging going on, nothing to invest in, basically. The former CEO of SAP, Bill McDermott, he said, we don't need managers, we need leaders, which again is one of these wonderful quotes. But the important thing is, for me, there's a reason why we say to lead by example and not to manage by example. The thing is, for me, when I started a company, when I interview when I start somewhere new, I bring myself to work. People might hire me for my experience or my knowledge or maybe even my design skills, but they also hire me for who I am. How I talk, how I discuss things, how I negotiate, how I work with people, how I try to try to solve problems, all these kind of things. So I'm being human, I'm bringing myself to work, including all my flaws. And believe me, I have many, just ask my wife. And I'm trying to be open. Open in the sense of bringing people along the journey. I really hate these closed door meetings, management, somebody decides something, nobody understands why and what's going on, and you still somehow have to buy in. For me, it's important to tell people, hey, we made this decision, yes, it's a change in priorities, and here's the reasons why we did it, because, I don't know, we did some research, we found out that the market adoption would be probably better if you do it in this way, not the other way. But at least you give people some kind of understanding and background why things are changing. And then people can buy in. And they understand. And you can be on a journey together. It sounds cliche, but I try to be a rock for my team. I'm there. I have their backs. They can always come to me, no matter what. It's super important. I like to say I open doors where doors need to be opened. It's like, oh, this person is facing a problem. Let me open this door, make an introduction to somebody else. Maybe they can work it out together, Or find another tool or a piece of hardware which makes their lives easier. And I close doors where doors have to be closed. For example, if one of my people is working on something and somebody else comes and is like, hey, can you just quickly make this? I say, no, leave the person alone. They are busy, they're working on something. Let's talk to me, it's okay, So I'm closing the door in their face. And that has to be done at times. I found this wonderful quote from Patty McCord, former Chief Talent Officer at Netflix. A business leader's job is to create great teams that do amazing work on time. I think this is probably the perfect quote out there because it sums everything up into one sentence. But the core is great teams. Great teams that do amazing work. The thing is, people want to be valued. And I purposely say be and not feel. People want to be valued. And that shouldn't be such a hard concept to grasp because it's the same for all of us. No matter if individual contributor or manager or head of whatever, we all want to be valued for what we do at work. So why would it be so hard to value others as managers and leaders? Especially nowadays, with all the things going on in the world. See, if I sum all of this up, my goal is to enable people to be their best selves so that they can do their best work. It's as simple as that. Because the thing is, if you put people in a good place, you put your team in a good place. If you put your team in a good place, you put yourself as part of that team in a good place. If you put your whole team, including yourself, in a good place, you can start helping other teams in your org or company to move into better places as well. It starts small, but it can grow. And people in good places, teams in good places, they can tackle almost anything. Again, it starts with the people. And this also has a wonderful side effect. Because when you spend time with your people, it gets easier. Because you get to know them, their backgrounds, their motivations, their goals. And then you can tailor stuff to them. Opportunities for growth, for example. Very important for everybody. For their benefit and for yours, because you are part of that team as a leader. You will want them to succeed, and they will want to succeed together with you, again, as one team. But the important part also is to build long-lasting relationships, not only for now, but also for later. I'm still in contact with quite some of the people I used to work with in the past. And I'm always super happy to see, when they join a new company or publish something exciting. I always hope that maybe, just a teeny tiny bit of something I was able to help them with in the past, or some kind of advice I gave them in the past, or some encouragement, or I don't know what. Maybe a tiny bit of this helped them to go on that journey. Because nothing would make me more happy. But I know what you're going to say. You don't have time for this, right? We don't have time. We all have to run, we have to ship. But the thing is, we're not running from something, we are running towards something. And we should bring people along with us onto that journey. Let me give you a quick analogy. Design systems make a designer's life easier. We all know that. And yes, the same is true when you focus on people. It will be more effort in the short term. We also all know that, especially with design systems. But it also comes with greater benefits in the long run. Be the leader your team deserves. And start today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was really inspiring. I have to jump quickly into some questions for you.
Sure.
So, should managers be involved in team ceremonies like retrospectives? Does excluding them in the name of creating a safe space actually hinder their ability to grow and practice active listening skills? Maybe it's a bit too long, but...
That's a really good question. I would say it depends, actually. Wonderful designer answer, of course, it depends. I would almost leave it up to the team. Maybe in the situation, ask them, you know, it's like, is it okay when I join? Or is it not? Like, how do you feel about it, you know? And I think it's important to, again, coming back to this trust and openness.
Be open, be
honest.
honest.
Be open about it, you know? And people can say, no, I think this time we want to discuss stuff we don't want you to hear. That's totally fair. You know, but I would love to be there and be part of the team and really understand the frustrations, like the stuff which is going on. And often this is what the leaders or managers miss, right? Because they spend time in emails and not with people.
Yeah, absolutely. I have another one quickly.
Please.
How do you make sure that the voices of the more introverted designers on the team are also being heard, not just those of the extroverts?
I love this one because I'm an introvert myself. Yeah, I don't like spending time with people. Nothing against you. I really love all of you. I think it's important for the leader to realize what's going on in the team. Like if somebody's very quiet, you know, like give them a chance to either speak up, or if they're not comfortable doing it during a team meeting, speak to them afterwards. Get their opinion, get their point of view, and then bring this information back. And I think, I don't know, for me, I love this as training for myself, right? So maybe there's also ways, if the people are interested in doing something, you know, like start small somewhere inside the company and present more things. Maybe it helps them also a little bit to grow and like do stuff, outside of their comfort zone.
Absolutely. So many thanks, Wolfgang. This was really amazing. So give it up to Wolfgang, please.
Thank you so much for having me.
And